Ignore the quarterback competition nonsense. Cam Ward is QB1, and that's all he needs to be in 2025. I'll explain on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland, Titans fans. Today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. On today's episode, we're going to take a look at the short-term roles for all of the Tennessee Titans rookie class. We're going to look at what they should be looking to do in 2025. We'll start with Cam Ward, who should be QB1. We'll talk about the Titans' day 2 picks and why they require a little bit more patience. And I'll tell you why outside of Cam Ward, the rookie I think is going to have the biggest impact this year is Gunnar Helm. Before we get into all of it, though, I do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, you need to be one. I'm going to have a ton of draft content coming. We're going to examine the roster in the next few weeks. Also, over on the Tic Tac Titans film channel, I have a Kevin Winston breakdown video to show you the good and the bad there. We're going to have more draft content on the film channel, Tic Tac Titans, throughout the week as well. So again, whether it's Locked On Titans, it's Tic Tac Titans, get subscribed, stay subscribed to be the most informed and educated Tennessee Titans fan you could possibly be. But with that being said, again, I want to look at short-term roles. What can these rookies do immediately? What is their instant impact going to be? And we have to talk again about this quarterback competition nonsense. I have to reiterate, I don't care what Mike Borgonzi said. I don't care if he said it's an open competition. I don't care if they're going to split reps. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. And it's done to continue to prop up Will Levis's value for an eventual trade, an eventual move away from Will Levis. But there is no world in which Will Levis is this team's backup quarterback or, God forbid, starting quarterback throughout this season. Like, that's just not going to be the case, okay? Cam Ward is QB1. You don't bring Warren Moon to the facility and hand away the number 1 jersey for Cam Ward to be backup to Will Levis. It's nonsense. It's performative, and it's for a reason. Again, to keep Will Levis's value, no matter how low you think it might be, saying, yeah, we're getting rid of Will Levis. No matter how low you think his value is, it goes down even more when you admit that he will not be on your team and that you're not keeping him around. So it makes all the sense in the world that the Titans said what they said, but the reality here is Cam Ward is going to be QB1. And let me say this as well. Cam Ward very well may save this franchise. Cam Ward very well may be the savior that we've all been looking for so long. That may be the case. He may be the guy that gets MVPs and Super Bowls and legitimizes the Tennessee Titans as an NFL franchise where we no longer have to hear about, oh, they're a poverty team. No one cares about the Titans. Like, all of that stuff can be gone with Cam Ward. I 100% believe it, and I 100% want it to happen. But he's not going to be able to do all that in year 1. He can say all he wants. I'm going to be the first rookie quarterback to win the Super Bowl. He can say whatever he wants, and I like it. I like the ambition. I like the confidence. But the Titans are not winning the Super Bowl this year. I'm sorry. Maybe we finally get a magical run like we got in 2019 where, everything looks lost, no expectations, they come back and they find a way. Maybe the Titans do make a playoff run. Maybe Dan Moore hits at left tackle and J.C. Latham turns into an all-pro right tackle and Peter Skoronski takes the next step up to all-pro guard and Cushenberry comes back healthy and Calvin Ridley is a a valid number one wide receiver now that Cam Ward is the quarterback, and all these different things happen in the defense, and maybe all of it happens. Maybe. I'm not saying that it can't, but I'm saying the expectations that we should have for Cam Ward in 2025, in year one, is not to be the franchise saver, is not to overdo or overrun all the things that we want and accomplish all of the goals that we hope that he can accomplish. He can't do it all in one season. That's not the type of goals that we're talking about here. So that should not be the expectation for Cam Ward in year one, to be the player that we hope he can become in a year or two. Like, it's just not logical. He's a rookie. There are going to be rookie trial and error. There are going to be rookie mistakes. It's going to happen. What the Titans need Cam Ward to be in year one, the only thing that matters in year one for Cam Ward, because look, you can look at the rest of the roster and say, if the Titans go 5-12 or the Titans go 6-11, we're just going to look at the rest of the roster and be like, well, yeah, this is a rebuild. The rest of the, what we need to see, what has to happen, the defining factor of Cam Ward's rookie season is, does he belong? Is he an improvement over what the Titans had at quarterback last year? That is what we want to see. Does Cam Ward belong in the NFL? Does he look like he is one of the 32 starting quarterbacks? And quite frankly, we need Cam Ward to look like one of the top 20 starting quarterbacks, because in my opinion, the bottom 12 starting quarterbacks in the NFL could all be replaced at the drop of a hat. So I want to see Cam Ward be one of the top 20 quarterbacks in the NFL. I want to see him be a clear, visible upgrade on last year's situation with Mason Rudolph and Will Levis. I don't need Cam Ward to win an MVP in year one. I don't need Cam Ward to take the Titans to the playoffs. I don't need Cam Ward to win a Super Bowl as a rookie. I don't need Cam Ward to totally change the vibes and the public perspective of the Tennessee Titans franchise in year one. Those are too lofty of expectations. Those goals are far too high. That is not a fair expectation or a fair grading scale for Cam Ward in year one. Do I think he can do those things in the future? I absolutely do. But again, we are talking about short-term roles here. And at the end of the day, Cam Ward needs to be the Tennessee Titans' best rookie. There's no doubt about that. In year one, he needs to be their best rookie. He needs to be the best guy from this class, or the class wasn't good enough and Cam Ward wasn't good enough. That's the reality of the situation. But none of that is going to immediately be true in year one. So get out there, be one of the top 20 quarterbacks in the NFL, clearly be QB1 moving forward. And that's all the Titans truly need to see. That would be a satisfactory year. Now, here in a couple of days, maybe next week, I'm going to do a little rookie player props, and we'll talk about some of the statistics that I want to see Cam Ward hit this season. But for now, philosophical role, what he needs to do, just be QB1, be an upgrade over last year, and that's all we can expect in year one. But with that in mind, the day two prospects for the Titans will require a little bit more patience. And the day three prospect that I want to talk about, I think will be the most impactful in year one outside of Cam Ward. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Again, just place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets. I love FanDuel because it makes betting so easy, whether I'm picking my favorite team or diving into player props. And the player props, you can do three-pointers, steals, assists, so many different ways to bet your favorite player props, and so many different props as well. And even after the game tips off, you can combine all your live prop bets into a same game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Again, that's FanDuel.com. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast, talking about short-term roles for all of the Titans rookie class. What are they going to be in year one for the Tennessee Titans? Talked about Cam Ward. He just needs to be quarterback one, be a clear upgrade, and we'll move forward with that. But the day two guys are just a little bit different. Now, before I get into it, I do want to thank you again for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. But number 2 pick, second round, 52, Femi Oladejo out of UCLA. Again, this was the pick where I think most Titans fans are the most unsure, right? Femi is the biggest projection of the entire draft class. If you want to look at the riskiest pick that the Titans made, it is most certainly Femi Oladejo. 6'3", 260 pounds, an absolute freak, super powerful, super strong, great explosion, all that. But as we've discussed, the refinement definitely needs some work. He's got to work on his pass rush plan. He's got to work on how to accurately use his hands. He can be a little inaccurate with his, when you're looking to chop at offensive linemen's hands and use your hands for different pass rush moves, dips, rips, swims, cross chops, all that different stuff. You got to be accurate with your hands. You got to strike with the right timing, and just the timing of things, where to strike, how to put moves together, how to put a plan together, what I'm going to do off the line of scrimmage, how to properly utilize the physical gifts that I have, the explosion, the pure strength, all of that. Look, it's going to take some time for Femi Oladejo to put all that together. And that's why year one for me, his immediate role is just a rotational edge. I want Femi Oladejo to be in the top 3 edge rushers. Let Lorenzo Carter and Femi Oladejo be your early down edge guys. They're physical, they're strong, violent with their hands, set the edge. Arden Key, a guy who is not good against the run, but is a good pass rusher. You have him and you have Draymond Jones who could come in. So what you can do is you can have different rotations here. First down, I'm going to have Lorenzo Carter and Femi Oladejo out there. Second down, I'm going to have Femi and I'm going to have Arden Key because the chances of pass are a little bit higher. Third down, I can go with Arden Key. I can go with Draymond Jones, who's a better pass rusher than Carter or Femi right now. And I can go with Sweat and Simmons on the interior. Or I can rest Sweat. I can go with Sebastian Joseph Day, who had good moments last year with Arden Key and Draymond Jones. Or I can go for a bigger package. Or for a smaller package with more speed. I could go with Jeffrey Simmons and then go with Arden Key on the insider. I can go with Draymond Jones on the inside next to Jeffrey Simmons with Arden Key out on the edge and then Femi Oladejo. You know what I mean? Like, there are so many different combinations to where you can use Femi as a rotational player. You don't have to immediately put him in there as a starter. You can let him get his feet wet on early downs and, get used to the speed and the physicality of the league. And then towards the end of the season, start to rotate him in more as a pass rusher and let him get a little more comfortable there. That is what the short-term immediate role for Femi Oladejo is going to be. He's going to be a rotational edge rusher that plays on early downs and starts to slowly get more pass rush snaps as the season goes along. And then you look at Kevin Winston, 6'1", 215 pounds, also only 21 years old, out of Penn State, recovering from an ACL tear in week 3 of the college football season last year, but he ran a 40 at his pro day, so he's way ahead of schedule on the recovery. The Titans expect him to be out there for camp. He expects to be ready for camp. I'm pretty excited about that. I just put out a film video on Kevin Winston and why I think he has star potential for the Tennessee Titans. But again, the reality here is Kevin Winston is not going to be his best self in year one. We have seen it over and over, not just the Titans, but in the NFL. It's a common thing now. I'm not reinventing the wheel or dropping a hot take on you. Guys play so much better when they have a year removed from the ACL recovery. So the first year you come back from ACL And then the next year after that is when you really are all the way back to who you were. That is the conventional wisdom here. So even if Kevin Winston comes back for camp, even if Kevin Winston is healthy for the entire season, I think you're going to get a significantly better version of Kevin Winston in 2026 than what you're getting in 2025. I think there will be a massive leap there. And here's another thing. We talk about Femi and being developmental. Kevin Winston is developmental as well. Like, he played at a bigger program. He's more ready to contribute right away if he's healthy. But Kevin Winston really struggles with route recognition in the back end. He really struggles with some false steps when he's driving on the football or when he sees where a route is going to be. So understanding route concepts, understanding spatial awareness of how close or far away you need to be from your teammates to eliminate holes for quarterbacks to throw the football through, I think all of that stuff is going to take some time. So the early role for Kevin Winston is going to be as a rotational safety. I think he's a guy that the Titans should work in as an early down nickel so that he can play against the run, which is what he does well, and then let him get some dime safety snaps as like a dime linebacker or as like a slot option. Just let him get his feet wet in the things that he does really, really well right now that are easier and simple. And then as he gets more understanding and more time in the film room and more time on the practice field to understand, hey, this is what it's going to look like. Hey, I need to read this. Hey, boom, boom, boom. My timing can be quicker here if I use this better footwork. All of that stuff is going to take time. So year 2, Kevin Winston, going to be far ahead of year 1, Kevin Winston, even if year 1, Kevin Winston can still make an impact as a rotational player. But the last guy that I want to talk about, he wasn't a top 100 pick per se, wasn't day 2, and there needs to be a little less patience because the upside isn't as high, but it's Chim DK. So DK for me, his early role is just as a returner and a rotational receiver. I think he's wide receiver 4 or 5, but I think he can be the Titans starting returner from day 1. And that's a super, super valuable role and had a lot to do with him getting drafted. So Chim DK, look, he's going to get his opportunities. And I think with his speed and his ability to run vertical routes, that he will be a good option for the Titans. But is he going to be one of their top 2 receivers? Is he like, we'll get there here in a moment. But I think that Elikayo Manor will actually have a bigger impact as a receiver in year 1 than Chim DK. But DK will have probably a bigger overall impact on the team because I think he could be the Titans starting returner. So DK to me, again, wide receiver 4 or 5 early on as he learns how to advance his short to intermediate route running, which is very critical in the Titans scheme. But as a returner, I think he'll have a major impact on the Titans, and that is his short-term role, is really just focus on that return job and then be a rotational receiver the Titans use sparingly, maybe, 10 snaps a game on offense. Hit some vertical routes on third downs. I think that would be a good role for DK early on. But with that in mind, I think a day 3 rookie for the Titans will actually have the biggest impact of the rookie class outside of Cam Ward. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Do you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's so easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts. You can track all your investments. You can track all your spending all in one place. Stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much money I was spending on online shopping, and now I can budget smarter and I can save more. I don't have to juggle a bunch of different apps. It's all in one place for me on the Monarch Money app. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast, talking about short-term roles for the rookie class. We looked at Cam Ward. We looked at the day 2 guys in Winston and Oladejo. We looked at Chim Dike. Now I want to look at all of the day 3 options because I think that there's a high likelihood here that 2 day 3 options make a major impact on the Titans in their rookie season. And the first person that we have to talk about is Gunnar Helm. And again, I've been saying it throughout the show. I think that Gunnar Helm, the tight end out of Texas, has the ability and will be the rookie that makes the biggest impact on the Tennessee Titans in 2025 outside of Cam Ward. 6'5", 245, good size. He can add some weight, absolutely, but so good at the catch point. He can contort his body, adjust to the football, make plays on the ball. Love that. He's got a great feel where to sit down in zone coverage, how to get separation. Even though he's not an elite athlete, when he gets the ball in his hands, he's able to turn upfield, get yardage. He may not be the best blocker, but he's a willing blocker, and my God, he has excellent hands. He's not going to drop the football. At the end of the day, this isn't just about how good I think Gunnar Helm is. This also is about opportunity. And when you look at the Tennessee Titans offense, I think the Tennessee Titans want to be more of a 3 wide receiver team under Brian Callahan. But to do that, you have to have a do-it-all tight end. If you have 3 wide receivers on the field and Chigakonkwo as your tight end, you're not going to be able to run the ball. You're not even going to be able to fake teams out with the threat of the run because Chigakonkwo is simply not a good enough blocker to take a defensive end one-on-one. And look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Gunnar Helm is some excellent classic blocker like he's Rob Gronkowski or something like that, or, Jeff Swain. Like, that's not the case. He's not Anthony Fasano, okay? That's not what I'm saying. But I think he has the ability to be a much better blocker because of his size and his willingness and his fight than Josh Wiley or Chigakonkwo. So if that's the case, then the tight end that gives the Titans the most versatility out of all their tight ends is Gunnar Helm. And with his ability as a pass catcher, he's a better pass catcher than Josh Wiley is. Not as good of a pass catcher and all of that explosiveness as Chigakonkwo. But at the end of the day, the versatility is going to be key. And I think it's going to be more valuable to Brian Callahan. I think that Gunnar Helm takes the most snaps at tight end this year for the Tennessee Titans. That's what I think. So I think out of all the rookies, the year 1 role, Gunnar Helm's role year 1 is tight end 1. The Titans will have a rotation, certainly. And I would expect it. A Thomas Odukoye, a David Martin Robinson, one of those guys makes the roster as a 4th tight end. I'm going to bet on DMR. But even with that, again, I think Gunnar Helm's year 1 role is tight end 1. And I think he's the most impactful rookie outside of Cam Ward. And he's going to be a perfect pairing with Cam Ward. Then I want to go to Alec Iomanor. Still working on that. Io Manor. I've heard Ao Manor. I've heard Ao Manor. I've heard Io Manor. I've heard Io Manor. I've heard all 4 different ways. And now they're all messed up in my head. But Alec Iomanor. See, I think Io Manor will play a bigger role for the Titans in year 1 than Chim Dike. I think Io Manor is going to be a low-end starter and a top-tier rotational X. So I think Io Manor is going to get 20 snaps a game at the X wide receiver position. And again, like with Gunnar Helm, part of my explanation here is circumstantial. Chim Dike is a slot or a Z wide receiver. Well, the Titans have Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, Van Jefferson, Bryce Oliver, Jaquan Jackson, all guys who I think are more suited to those spots. The Titans don't really have anybody who I believe in to be their X. Treylon Burks is supposed to be that. I don't believe in Treylon Burks. Now, if the Titans keep Treylon Burks around and he plays, I think him and Io Manor split those X reps. And maybe Io Manor eventually overtakes Treylon Burks reps because he's a better player. Now, you could say Bryce Oliver. If you wanted, I think he could probably play some X for the Titans. But I think that Io Manor is a better player. So, to me, when you look at the circumstance of roles and where guys fit, I don't think Chim DK can play X receiver right now because he hasn't had experience getting off press. But I think Alec Iomanor, with his 6'2" frame, 215-pound body, his contested catch ability, and then the competition that he has at the X position, which is Traylon Burks and Bryce Oliver, maybe Van Jefferson. To me, it's clear that Iomanor is set up perfectly to have the biggest year one role of the two rookie wide receivers. DK may have a bigger role overall, again, on special teams, but their offensive role, I think Iomanor is going to have a much bigger offensive role than DK early on. Now we move to the last three picks, and I'm going to run through these pretty quickly because I don't think any of them will have a year one role that significantly impacts the team. And if one is going to have one, I think it's the last one. So we'll start with Jackson Slater. Again, Slater is a guy who I really like. He's a really good athlete coming out of Sacramento State. Still only 21.9 years old, not even 22 yet, but he's got to add strength. He's got to add more weight for an interior offensive lineman. I think, long-term, he's got a lot of options, and we'll talk about his long-term option and what I think it'll be going forward. Tomorrow, on tomorrow's show, we're going to look at the long-term roles for these players and what they can be. But Slater is practice squad development guy, last offensive lineman on the roster guy. That's what I think his role is in year one as he develops. And then next year, he could make a step up to the primary interior offensive lineman backup. And then, we'll talk about what could happen after that. But Slater, for me, year one is practice squad call-up level guy if injuries happen, or very last offensive lineman on the roster guy. That's what Jackson Slater's year one role looks like it's going to be. You look at Marcus Harris, the cornerback out of Cal. Year one, to me, he is a practice squad player. I do not think Marcus Harris is going to make the roster. I think the Titans will keep him on practice squad with the ability to call him up. He'll be the number one practice squad cornerback with the idea that he can develop and then potentially be on the roster next year. Specifically, if the Titans move on from L'Jarius Sneed, if the Titans let Roger McCreary walk in free agency, then potentially Harris has an opportunity to make it into the lineup there, but that won't be happening in 2025. The final guy, like I said, it's Superman Mullins, Khalil Mullins, out of Michigan, the running back, converted linebacker. I think that he could have a pretty big impact in year one. If I had to give, other than Gunnar Helm, I might go with Khalil Mullins because he's going to be able, he's probably going to score 3 or 4 touchdowns this year just on short yardage situations. And what are the odds that, someone else has a 4 touchdown impact on the team if we're just looking pure production, And then Mullins, I don't think that he's going to get the return jobs, but he has done returning in the past, and I think he could do it. But on special teams coverage units, he's going to make a big impact. So I think Mullins is going to have a bigger impact year one than Harris or Slater. It's not even close to me. So I like Mullins with year one impact on special teams as that power back that they want him to be in goal line and short yardage situations. So I think actually if we're ranking, year one impact, I would have Cam Ward 1, Gunnar Helm 2. Then I would go with Femi Oladejo. Then I'd go with Kevin Winston. But then I would go with Alec Iomanor. And I might go with Mullins, especially if he takes the returning job from DK, which will be an interesting thing to watch. But that's going to do it for me today. Let me know what you guys think the year one roles are. Again, tomorrow, I'm going to be looking at long-term roles for all of the rookies. But as always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.